there, and you've got the, let's call the order, meeting to order. You've got the agenda. I'm sorry I don't have it in front of me here. And let's see.
Do you want me to email it to you again?
I've got it somewhere in here in my email. That's the minutes, agenda. Why don't you just start it?
So we have first approval of minutes. So did everyone get the minutes from last week that I sent this afternoon?
Yes.
Yes, I approve.
Okay, maybe I missed. I got these minutes, and then I got the agenda from you.
It was the minutes from,
But I didn't get any minutes from.
yes, I sent it out today, special call joint meeting.
Yeah, okay, I got that. Yeah, I read
July
that. I'm
23rd.
sorry. I was thinking that was the minutes from the town council meeting.
That,
I read the title wrong. I read the minutes. I just read the title wrong.
okay, so that was our joint meeting with the town
Yeah.
council.
Okay. Yeah, I got.
Any corrections to those?
Nope.
So
Joe, do we have any citizens wanting to address the tree board?
Not that I'm aware of. Nobody's called me.
Then it's time for you to lead us into the ordinance.
Okay, we had to move 204 language to 205, which was simply the duties. Move the authority and power. The area where it says the tree board shall have the authority to advise and participate. The town attorney felt that that should be under duties and responsibilities. And where it says the tree board shall have the authority to advise in private developments upon request, they wanted to change.
So let me get that complete sentence.
Okay, and on 13.6, it's 204 authority and power, 13.204 authority and power. The last one, it's the middle sentence basically. The tree board shall have the authority to advise and participate, advise on and participate in the development of guidelines for landscaping and care of trees and shrubs in private developments upon request from the private developers. And then his other.
I'm sorry, I need to get all of this down correctly, and then I would like to read it back to you.
Okay.
So I am just starting at the top. Could you read for me again, please, what you want it to say?
Well, it's taking 204, 13.204. Do you have the ordinance in front of you?
I do.
Okay. In the area where it says the tree board shall have the authority, and it is in the first paragraph.
Yes, I see that.
Right, but that where to private developments, add at the end of private developments upon request. And that whole sentence needs to be moved into 205.
Okay, so upon request of whom?
The developer, I assume.
Would that cover just citizens' concerns? Because I've had several people email me about their concerns about contracting and building and removal of trees, but I don't know what to tell them because I don't know what authority we have over it currently.
Well, we don't have any of that.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically the gist of what I've told people. It's like, I don't really know what to say or how we can help.
Well, once we get this all settled out to make Boyd comfortable and the town comfortable, I shouldn't say
Mhm.
Boyd because it's the town.
Mhm.
As of now, it's whatever, that sentence was in there, but it wasn't, that's from 2010.
Mhm.
We just changed the wording a little bit. So we.
So,
if they ask us.
excuse me, Joe, what I show in this tracking copy from Andrew is that is added language. It's in red, is that correct?
Okay, pull it up here. 3, 2, 4.
At the top of page 13-6.
Yes. Oh, it is added. I'm sorry. So it is added language.
So are available to do that?
You're breaking up there, Rob. Sorry.
Okay, I was asking how are developers to know that we are available to do that, to even make that request?
I guess
Is there
through
something
town, if they look
somewhere
at the town
that
ordinance.
triggers them to?
I would think that this would come through the Planning Commission. But it's a good question, Rob, because I think, certainly a developer has to come to the Planning Commission for anything of any size. But are we saying that it's simply up to the Planning Commission to tell the developer we're available? Or is the Planning Commission to require the developer to talk with us? How do we want that to read?
Well, I wrote in upon request because that was something that was mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Put it in.
So that was a comment from Boyd at minute 33 of that meeting. And he said, upon request from private developers, the tree board may provide advice on landscaping, canopy, maintenance, etc.
Right. So I guess
that,
if they read through the ordinance and go through the Planning Commission, they know that we are available. I don't have a really big picture of them coming to us and asking us, but
Yeah.
right, and I don't know that a developer is going to be reading this section because it's municipal landscaping. What this is doing is not really describing this section, not really describing municipal landscaping, it's describing what the tree board is to do. So I don't think a developer will be reading this.
Right.
That they would even think of it.
So wonder what would happen if we just wrote it that on the request to the Planning Commission.
How about upon request from the Planning Commission or the private developer?
Yeah.
Jennifer, you have some thoughts here?
No, I don't.
There's only two ways that information gets relayed. It either gets pushed to somebody or somebody goes and gets it and pulls it to them,
Mhm.
But regardless of all that, it needs to be moved into 205.
Yeah, right. And
So the tree board shall have the authority to advise on and participate in the development of guidelines for landscaping and care of trees and shrubs in private developments upon request of the developer or the planning commission?
Sure. Sounds
Okay.
good.
Good.
Yeah, because I think that, because the planning commission should be aware of this. And they're kind of the, I guess, the gate, if you will. The communication gate.
Gatekeepers
Yes.
of all planning too.
Yeah,
So what this says is guidelines for landscaping and care of trees and shrubs. Do we want to say anything here about canopy?
I think we,
that's not
Maintenance?
understood.
How about maintenance?
yeah, I think we kind of stressed that early in the document, that that was one of the main missions, right?
Well, it was, but it's really not mentioned very much. It's only in that initial paragraph.
Or is it?
But that's the idea of the whole ordinance, to maintain our canopy.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
And
So how about if we say for landscaping, care of trees and shrubs, and maintenance of canopy?
really, I
Okay.
don't know, it's really,
I don't think it's necessary, but sure, if you want it in there.
Well, I would like to really stress throughout this the importance of maintaining our canopy. And I think that's a conversation.
then I would put that at the front of the sentence, then something like in order to maintain the, because you can't really say, if you put it in there like we're going to advise people on their trees and shrubs, I don't know how we advise people on their canopy. I mean, we can advise people on the importance of the canopy.
Mhm.
So that to me seems like more of a general statement or mission or goal type statement than it is something we actually go in and advise people on. Am I missing something with that?
No, I agree with you.
I'm not saying it's not important, Ann. I think we need to capture it as a general statement several times if we're going to do that. Kind of keep stressing the goal. That makes
Okay.
sense?
So do you want that in this section at all?
I lost my place now.
The
Because
canopy-
this is strictly duties and responsibilities, right?
Right.
Okay, that makes more sense, I think.
So we're taking out the canopy part?
Yes.
Did we ever have it?
No, we didn't.
Okay.
No, I was suggesting
Oh.
putting it in, and I'm typing as we talk. So I
Oh,
want to
okay.
be sure I have the will of the tree board here. So what I have now is the tree board shall have the authority to advise on and participate in the development of guidelines for landscaping and care of trees and shrubs in private developments upon request of the developer or the planning commission.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Good.
Agree.
So one of the things that was mentioned in the meeting with the council was the idea of assisting the planning commission with their requirements.
We still on duties? We haven't.
Can I,
Yes.
okay, I was still looking with the words, the canopy, the tree canopy. I went back to the very beginning. It talked about the overall canopy. Under definitions, we don't have a definition of tree canopy. I think if we did that there, that would help make it important all the way through, Ann.
Good point.
I didn't notice that before.
So would someone like to give me that definition?
I'll look one up while y'all were talking about the other stuff. How's that?
Okay. Sounds good, Rob.
I think, is it canopy just, I mean, in this context, wouldn't it just be the don't know I don't know how to say this in a definition way, but it's basically like the layer of leaves that covers the town, right? That covers the ground.
Can look up an exact
Yeah, I
definition really
mean,
quick.
I can define it biologically, sure, but I don't know what that means. I mean, just
Yeah,
the stuff covering the ground.
Okay, it says in
Okay.
biology, the canopy is the above ground portion of a plant community or crop.
That's the biological definition, but I mean,
Right.
like an urban tree canopy is different. I
let
mean,
me
you're
look
talking
under Tree City.
about the town, you're talking about, you know, the tree coverage of the town.
It says formed by the collection of individual plant crowns.
Okay, now this one says the urban tree canopy refers to the layer of tree leaves, branches, and stems that provide tree coverage of the ground when viewed from above.
That's probably a
Hey.
better one.
Today, many communities are planting trees in an effort to become more sustainable and livable.
Yeah, that definition is what I was getting at.
Okay,
Could you read that to me, Rob, so I can type it in?
I'm going to make a copy of this little paragraph that goes with it, and I will email that to you. How's that?
That sounds great. Thank you.
So do you want to move on now, Ann, or do you want to wait to get that email?
Oh, no, we can move on.
Okay, so the next one was revised 211. And I think the problem that was brought up, that the town manager, upon recommendation by the tree board after consultation with a professional forester or an ISA certified arborist at his or her discretion, can cut.
Joe, I hear you.
I'm sorry?
Sorry, the audio is eligible.
Okay.
Dan suggested the other day that whoever was not speaking should mute.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the thing that came up was in 211 was the town manager, upon recommendation by the tree board or after consultation with a professional forester or an ISA certified arborist at his or her discretion or upon recommendation by the director of public works, shall remove or cause in order to remove any tree. So the town manager had a problem with him having to ask a subordinate about whether they can cut that tree or not. So he wanted it revised. Now, how we do that, I mean, it was in the initial thing that we had in there was the town manager upon recommendation by the tree board or the director of public works as by a certified arborist. So the only thing we really changed was a consultation with a professional forester, and we added that and at his or her discretion. So how we're supposed to change that now, further down in that, we did add, notwithstanding the foregoing, the arborist or professional forester for recommendation before removing any other tree on town property. So town manager felt that he would, before he could make a decision, he would have to consult with an arborist or one of us. Now, I'm not an arborist. I would prefer him to an arborist if he came to me, but I don't know how y'all feel about that. I will mute and listen, I guess. So if anybody's got any questions or statements to that, go ahead and go for it.
I'm wondering if the position of the wording that we added was what created a problem. So see what you think of this wording. The town manager, upon recommendation by the tree board or director of works, shall then consult the arborist. And upon their recommendation shall remove or cause or order to be removed any tree, blah, blah, blah. Does that change make it clear that the town manager, upon recommendation by the tree board or the director of public works?
Well, if I read this correctly, isn't that what it originally said? If I
Yes,
take
and
out-
that's what I'm saying. Maybe the order in which we added the consultation made it unclear how that was to happen.
But the only thing we really added basically was to involve a professional forester or arborist, correct? All the rest of the stuff is
Yeah.
already there.
So further though, if we change it the way I just suggested, it does sound as though the town manager does not have authority to remove a tree on his own if there is no recommendation from the tree board or the public works director.
That may have been where he had the problem. Because, I mean, to determine if it's a hazard, it's a hazard. And that falls under, a dead or diseased tree. If it's a hazard, he has the right.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and we need to come back to that and define a problem tree at some point. But in that paragraph, we took out at his or her discretion. So I think that may have been the sticking point, as well as the awkward wording of the rest of it.
We actually added at his or her discretion upon recommendation by.
But it's been struck.
But was it in the original?
That's what I'm looking for right now.
Or the 2012, 2010, whichever one it was?
211. Well, on the original, it said the town manager at his or her discretion, and it was struck out.
Okay.
So we just moved it. A lot of the
Well, no, because the way we've worded it here does not leave discretion for the town manager to remove a tree unless there is a recommendation by the tree board or the public works director.
we struck that one thing and moved it around, but that was from 2010. So I'm not saying we didn't have anything to do with it, but we did.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And that at his or her discretion, upon recommendation by the tree board, we added after consultation with a forester or an ISA certified arborist. That's all we added.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Right, I think what caused the problem was striking at his or her discretion, thereby stating that he couldn't remove a tree unless the tree board or the public works director recommended it.
But we moved at his or her discretion by the tree board, after consultation by a forester or internet ISA certified arborist at his or her discretion.
Oh, I see what you're saying, Joe.
Yeah,
We just moved it. We got an awful lot of ors in there, but
the way we put that phrasing in there, is very awkward, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's awkward phrasing that is not clear. So how can we clarify that?
Well, we could put it back where it was and then add the other stuff afterwards. But that's going to put it as he can or cannot consult an arborist. And that was the problem we had with initially.
But he ended up consulting an arborist, he said in the meeting, didn't he?
He did. He called me about one that they cut down. Now, this was after, and I called John Nessel, and we went out there and looked at a tree, and it was dead.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, cut them down. He looked at all three of them, but that was after the fact of the other ones that were cut down that were the issue.
Was this the infamous
Yes.
hickory nuts were banging away on the cars in the parking lot? Or is this another time?
No, this is that one.
Okay.
So if we change that to say the town manager at his discretion or upon recommendation by tree board or director of public works, after consultation with a professional forester, ISA arborist, shall remove or cause to be removed.
Are we really going to, every time we think we need to cut down a tree, are we really going to involve an arborist?
Well, that
is
came up.
As the town, I mean, as representatives of the town, are we saying that we think for every tree that an arborist needs to be involved?
It says or, right? So,
I've seen so many ors, I confuse
yeah, I know.
No, it says after consultation with the professional forester or an international society of certified arborists.
Yeah, but it doesn't say upon recommendation by the tree board or after this, right? So
Town manager appointment. Or, okay.
that's the or I was talking about, sorry.
Okay.
That first or.
I see what you're saying now.
Yeah.
So at least the tree board will have an opportunity to say something. And if he goes, well, I've already called in a forester or arborist and they said everything's great and wonderful. So we're going to go at it.
He's still going to have to consult an arborist.
Yeah.
for every tree.
I don't get where it's saying that he has to consult an arborist in this sentence.
The town manager.
Upon recommendation by the tree board or after consultation. So, I mean, I'm not seeing that you have to consult an arborist. Couldn't he just have a recommendation by the tree board?
Yeah.
At his or her discretion, that kind of means, okay, well, they can decide whether or not, I guess. But
To me, it's like options, right? Like you can go to the tree board or you can go to a professional.
You have to go to one or the other. I think that's what we were trying to accomplish.
and I think that's fair. I mean, that makes the most sense. People have multiple options that they want to go through. Don't have to go through so many people. They can choose one or the other.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so how do you want that worded?
It's just a really confusing sentence because
Maybe
even
we should separate them. Just have
I mean,
two separate
I think
statements.
if we're going to have a list of options, I think we should be like the town manager upon recommendation by the tree board or after consultation or upon recommendation by the director of public works. I mean, there should be, you know, and it should be clear because the way this is written, I'm not really
I agree.
sure, and I'm not sure where at his, her discretion comes in.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
I think
Maybe instead of one whole sentence, it should be separated so it's not so confusing.
I think it's okay in a sentence, but I actually think it might be more confusing to have it in two, but I just think it should be a clear like list, right? Like,
Yes.
Yeah, like either A.
I like bullet points.
like the town manager I don't know how, yeah, like maybe like with 1, 2, or 3 or something like that. It just,
Why
I
don't we
don't
say,
know. I feel like if we put it in 2 separate sentences, that might even, I don't know, make it worse. I'm not sure.
what about the town manager shall consult the tree board or the forester or certified arborist?
We could say, I mean, what if we like switched around the order of the sentence, like, to remove or cause or order to be removed any tree or part thereof within public rights of way. I don't know, the town manager should, or should consult this. It's just a lot going on. I mean, I'm reading the rest of this sentence right
Yeah.
now. I'm like all kinds of confused now.
Mhm.
It's a huge sentence. It's like almost the whole paragraph.
Yeah.
Any or part thereof within public rights of way subject to the, I mean,
It's just like one giant run-on sentence.
If we didn't even have most of, if we left that sentence the way it originally was and just
this is where, when
took
I'm
out-
writing, sorry,
Go ahead.
when I'm writing, I just go back to like, okay, what is it that we are trying to say? We need to start
what do
over.
we want to accomplish and how's the best way to say it?
Like,
I
what's
think
the,
if we took a lot of that first part out and just took out notwithstanding the foregoing and just say the tree board and the town manager shall consult an ISA certified arborist or professional forester for a recommendation before removing any tree on town property.
But that's where the problem came in, that we have, before he can do anything. Now, again, if it's a hazard, it's a hazard. He makes that determination.
Right.
But before he goes and cuts anything else down, he's gonna have to consult with an arborist or us. And that's where,
Yeah. And that language about other problem trees is in the first part of that paragraph. After you go through the initial, after consultation part.
right,
I think if we just took out all the red in the first part of the paragraph and took out notwithstanding the foregoing part, that the rest of it would make sense.
So what if we have the town manager shall consult with the tree board or an ISA arborist before removing any tree or part thereof, blah, blah, blah.
Well, that's kind of what that last part says, isn't it?
yeah.
And one thing that was brought out, so is this true for dead trees as well?
No, that
So
part's covered. That part's covered by the Director of Public Works.
Yeah, again, if it's a hazard tree, or if, they've determined it's dead, it needs to come down. I mean, you can kind of look at a tree, but some of them you really can't. You have to get an arborist out. So if there's a question, then you get somebody out. But if it's dead, it's dead.
Dead is dead.
That's right.
So we could manage that by saying the town manager shall consult the tree board or ISA arborist before removing any living tree.
Yeah, sounds good.
yeah, that sounds good. That's much, much simpler.
Okay.
The language is not nearly as confusing on that statement.
Okay, so we got that?
Yes.
Well, are we using that brief little sentence to replace that entire paragraph?
No, we're we're getting rid of the first red section and getting rid of notwithstanding the foregoing.
So what about the black part in between?
We're keeping all that.
That's still good.
So the town manager or director of public works shall remove any tree or part thereof within public rights of way subject to the approval, blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
Well, initially it said the town manager upon recommendation by the tree board or Director of Public Works shall remove or cause to order to be removed any part of blah, blah, blah. So we can leave the tree board in there or Director of Public Works. So get rid of that other stuff in the middle there. And then after insect or other pest, remove the notwithstanding the foregoing.
So I would have the town manager, upon recommendation by tree board or director of public works, shall remove any tree or part thereof within public rights of way subject to the approval of the utility provider that is in an unsafe condition, although it's the tree, not the utility provider, that is unsafe, or that by reason of its nature is injurious to sewers, electric power lines, gas lines, water lines, and other public improvements, or is affected with any injurious fungus, insect, or other pest.
And then
That's what we want.
that's what we want. And then we want the tree board and town manager shall consult with an ISA certified arborist.
The tree
That last red
removing
section.
any living tree.
Right, living tree.
Take out the word other and put in living. That's what you're saying, correct? On the last
Yeah,
sentence.
let me get it typed up and then I can ask you. Okay. The town manager, upon recommendation by the tree board or director of public works, shall remove any tree or part thereof within public right of way, subject to the approval of the utility provider that is in unsafe condition or that by reason of its nature is injurious to sewers, electric power lines, gas lines, water lines, and other public improvements, or is affected with any injurious fungus, insect, or other pests. The town manager shall consult the tree board or ISA arborist before removing any other living tree.
Much better.
Okay, so
That's clear to me.
first part that I read there will apply only to trees within the public right of way, is what we want. And then the second part would apply to any other tree on town property.
Yep.
Okay, I also have a question here on that last portion. And of course, this is still from the 2010 ordinance.
Hmm.
We are not requiring consultation with an arborist or any other action before removing a tree that is affected with a pest of some kind. So if there's a tree in the public right of way, say a 150-year-old hemlock that has adelgid, we're not requiring a consultation with an arborist. Only with the tree board or public works.
But the tree board will recommend an arborist. At that point, it's up to the tree board to recommend an arborist.
Yep, that's what we could say when they consult with us.
There you go.
Because at that point, you have to weigh the impact to the right of way, to the historical or environmental significance of that one tree. Right?
Yeah, our landmark poplar had some sick disease.
It's not on a right of way though, is it? Well, it might be. As
Yeah.
close as it is to the road.
It's on the corner right there, so it might be.
Well, that's one of the reasons we cabled it.
Yeah.
Save it, and if the limb came down, they'd want to take down the tree, so.
Right? Okay,
That's where people stop at that red light too, so it needed it.
so that's a good example.
So using that tree as an example, if it's nicely cabled now, it shouldn't get any broken branches to speak of. But if it were to get a disease or an insect, then before removing it, the town manager would, well, this is the town manager upon recommendation by the tree board or director of public works. So they would not have to consult us or an arborist.
Well, I think there's gonna be a problem with the wording that he has to consult us before he does anything. That's what reared its ugly head the last time.
I thought the big sticking point in last week's meeting was that he would be having to get a recommendation from a subordinate, Public Works.
Well, yeah, Public Works, but he also has to consult the tree board.
But he was most vocal about the public works,
Right,
at least in that meeting,
yeah.
and the subordinate.
Okay, think now of our landmark poplar getting an insect that is a problem. The town manager, upon recommendation by the tree board or director of public works, shall remove any tree or part thereof within public right of way, subject to the approval of the utility provider that is in an unsafe condition or that by reason of its nature is injurious sewers, power lines, gas lines, water lines, and other public improvements, or is affected with any injurious fungus, insect, or other pest. So if it had an insect,
And the
the
next,
town manager would have to get a recommendation from the tree board or the director of public works before removing the tree.
but the last sentence after that, insect or other pest, says the tree board and the town manager shall consult with an ISA certified arborist. The last sentence of that, the one we just changed.
And what that says is any other living tree.
Well, if it's got a pest, it's still alive. Even though it has a disease, it can be saved.
I understand what you're saying there. The previous paragraph that I've just read to you, I think refers to trees in public right-of-ways. That is in an unsafe condition or affected with a pest. And then if you say the town manager shall consult tree board or ISA before removing any other living tree, then that first paragraph would not, the second paragraph would not apply to the landmark poplar. Does that make sense?
If it's in a public right of way, yeah, I see what you're saying. But if it's really in a public unrouted right of way and a hazard, something's gonna have to be done. Right?
Yes, but the way we've written it, he would not have to consult an arborist if it is infested with something.
But he would consult with us, right?
With us or the director of public works.
Right. So it could be the director of public works. or us. And if it's us, then we can recommend an arborist.
Right.
It's the only person besides us, right, would be the Director of Public Works.
And if you
But
came to us and hopefully the director, we would recommend an arborist if we saw it was a disease. Now, the Director of Public Works may or may not say we need an arborist to make that decision.
That's right. So not to put words in Loretta's mouth because she's such a kind and loving person.
No,
If we had a Director of Public Works who had something against this tree, I hate that tree. It's been causing me a problem for years.
Yeah, but I mean, I agree with you, but are they going to approve an ordinance that doesn't have that in it? Right? I mean, are they going to?
Otherwise, you have to say they have to consult an arborist to cut down every tree. Or
Yeah,
us to cut
or
down
us
every
to cut
tree.
down every tree, and I don't think they're going to approve that.
No.
I mean, it's not realistic, so
And
It would be nice, but it's not really.
yeah.
well, I'm not sure it's reasonable to ask for that for every single tree.
Mhm.
Okay.
but they're not going to approve it.
Did you say you thought it was reasonable to ask
No,
for
she
that?
said she
And-
doesn't think. I mean, Janice, what you're saying that you think there should be special cases where they should have to consult with us at a minimum, like with the landmark poplar.
Well, then just say then why not just say somewhere, any actions taken on a landmark tree shall be reviewed or previewed
Yeah,
By
or
the-
like one of
by
our,
the tree board.
yeah, or one of the honor trees or something. I
Right.
mean, would that help, Ann? I mean, because is that your concern, that there are some trees that are really special and this kind of gives this ability to do stuff to them without consulting us first?
That's part of it, but I'm not sure that restricting it to landmark trees is going to help much because, for example, at this point we have only one. What I was really concerned about in the rewrite of the lengthier portion of this,
Mhm.
the town manager, upon recommendation by the tree board or public works, can remove any tree in the public right-of-way that's a problem, including if the tree is infested with something. So it could be the order of business could be public works says, here's a tree that is infested with woolly adelgid in a right-of-way. I want to take it down. And there's no requirement that the tree board or an ISA arborist be consulted. Where if we were consulted, we might say, oh, that tree is in fine shape, easy to save. All it needs is treatment.
Mhm.
Well, then how do you get there without saying every tree that is subject to removal has to be reviewed by the tree board or an arborist?
Maybe we can make this work by removing that last section of the big paragraph. So any tree, this is a recommendation by tree board or public works, any tree that is in an unsafe condition or is going to damage utilities. And remove the last phrase from that paragraph, which would be, or is affected with any injurious fungus, insect, or other pest. Just remove that as a condition. So the tree has to be threatening the utility or unsafe. Any other tree, they would consult with us or ISA.
Mhm.
So what you're talking about is, okay, if a tree is obviously needs to come down and it's obvious, that's one thing. But if it may be diseased, we should try to save it. maybe.
we should have the option of saving it. Or
I
at
agree.
least the option of advising that it can be saved.
Do we have funds to treat trees like that? Funds and resources?
I
No.
don't know. I don't know that that's such a huge demand. I mean, if it's a hemlock with a delegate, we can treat that for $25, right?
A little more than that, but depending on how big it is.
$100. Yeah.
Yeah, but then
I don't want to impose my will on the tree board here. I'm just trying to raise scenarios to be sure that we save.
if we talk about the scenario being so rare on one side, then it has to be so rare on the other side also. So the fact that it's rare that we would ever get to the point where we would have to treat a tree, it's also rare that we're going to have to get to the point where we're going to have to make that decision. Correct?
I agree.
How did it jump to it would be rare that we have to treat a tree?
I thought that's what you just said, that it would be rare that it would ever come up that we would have to treat a tree or continue treating a tree. Did I misunderstand you?
Maybe I misspoke. What I was saying is, what if there are trees within the right-of-way that need to be treated for something, but that would be otherwise fine and dandy?
Yeah, and I thought I heard you say that it would probably be a rare occurrence.
If I did, may I withdraw that part?
I don't see what the problem is.
Okay.
Because I mean, if a tree actually needs to come down, then I think we address ways to evaluate that tree. But I think, okay, we've got emerald ash borer coming. You can't do anything about it,
That's right.
basically. And we all know we have ash trees on the mountain. So the town, not the town council, but the town, as the people we hire for the town, they have to be able to make some decisions on their own without coming to the tree board to cut down every tree.
With emerald ash borer, that really makes sense.
I mean,
So we want to leave in the part about trees in the right of way that are not only dangerous, but are infested with something. And in either of those cases, the tree can be removed by our recommendation or Public Works or the town manager.
Yeah, because, I mean, in order for them to cut down a tree and say, okay, this was infested with an injurious fungus, insect, or pest, how are they going to know that if they don't consult an arborist or consult?
So it sounds to me like we're putting that at his discretion back in. So it would read like this. The town manager at his discretion or upon recommendation by the tree board or Public Works shall remove any tree or part thereof within public right-of-way, subject to the approval of the utility provider that is in an unsafe condition or that by reason of its nature is injurious to utilities or is affected with any injurious fungus, insect, or other pests. So all of that concerned trees in the right-of-way. That would be followed with the manager shall consult with the tree board or an ISA arborist before removing any other living tree
on town property.
Yes.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Okay, so does that mean if they go down into one of the parks and they find emerald ash borer, they have to talk to us first? because it's not in the right of way.
That's how I would read it, yes.
Okay,
Is that the way everyone else understands it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds at the park can run quick if the tree's coming down.
okay, so in the discussion last week, there were two suggestions that we defined what is a problem tree. And if approval of the tree board is needed for something, they would like for us to specify the member of the tree board. Or
Whoever,
does it need to be majority vote or what?
I'd say whoever's available, but I don't know. I mean, I know a little bit about trees, but if I go out and look, if they call me about something, I'm going to recommend an arborist look at it. I mean, I can, it's up
Like
to
that's most of us.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
We're like, let me refer to you to an expert.
Yeah, find an expert.
Yeah. I mean, that's
So
basically,
we're saying that
that's what I did on the other ones at town hall. I said, looks fine, but John Nessel came out there and started pounding around on it and said, no, it needs to come down. So. Again, none of us are certified arborists that I'm aware of, so.
Nope.
Uh,
so when they consult the tree board, it can be any member?
I would say so.
Just a representative of the tree board, right?
Right,
Yeah.
because we could all
And-
consult with each other. Like if they came to me for some reason, I would be like, I don't know. Let me ask them.
Yeah, we could all just email and call each other
Yeah.
because one of us is just an extension of the rest of us. So I think that makes sense.
Because we're not talking about trees that have to come down today or they might fall tomorrow,
Mhm.
right? Those are already addressed.
Right.
Mhm.
We're talking about the trees that are questionable. And when the town manager or the maintenance manager goes out and goes, yeah, I don't know, this tree looks like it could be, I think it's lost its leaves early, or the canopy's not as full as it used to be, or those kinds of things, right?
Yeah.
So when they consult the tree board, it can be any member of the tree board. Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
Whoever the chairman is, they're going to call them first, right?
Yeah.
And then the chairman can send out whoever he wants to, or whoever's available.
Okay.
Okay, we set on that?
Mhm.
Yes.
All right, next one was revised 213, tree topping. And I think the problem was notwithstanding the foregoing, again, as with the other one, same situation. Because that's what we added.
Now, something about this one, I didn't understand. Why would the town cut down any tree that was in some private landowner's way of the view?
Yeah. I didn't understand that either, but
That's what I heard. But that's what I thought I heard.
Mhm.
I don't know how else to say it.
we're talking about tree topping, 213.
Right.
I think it came under the drip line situation, as in if somebody put in a septic tank, septic system, and the roots from the neighbor's yard came into or a town tree, they put up a house next to it, or next to a town tree, and they had to put in a septic system, and it upset the root system.
Yeah.
Wasn't that under 13.215?
Yeah,
Did-
that came up later, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 215.
Yeah,
213 was the one where if the tree was in the way of somebody's view, then the town was responsible for cutting it down.
So
Because
It doesn't
anyway, I
say-
think what Boyd said was there may be occasions where someone may want to top a tree to protect their view.
but
Yes.
that's their own tree. That's not town tree.
no, so there can be trees on town property that are blocking the view of someone else, someone on private property.
Okay,
And the land trust agreement that we have for the conserved areas does permit view shed clearance. And that land trust policies would take control
Yeah, they take precedent.
above ours.
Yeah, that was what I was referring to.
So the tree itself is on public property.
And the view, your tree's in my way, so you need
That's
to
right.
you need to cut me a hole out of it I can see through.
So I don't know that we have anything to say about that if it is a view shed issue.
Yeah, I mean, it just says what it always said, right?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the language is clear there, so it doesn't need any revision.
So I have not personally gone to the land trust agreement or looked at any of their policies. I mean, certainly have no reason to doubt Boyd's word. He is Mr. Integrity himself.
But I would think you'd still want to consult an arborist to make sure you didn't kill that tree by the extent of the canopy you were wanting to cut out. Just like we have there.
So that is what we added in that last sentence.
Mm-hmm.
Notwithstanding the foregoing, the tree board and the town manager shall consult with an ISA certified arborist or professional forester for a recommendation before reducing the canopy of any tree on town property.
And that's all because of the view shed that they were talking about.
Well, no, it includes the view shed, but it would also include trees damaged by storms or other causes, utility wires, other obstructions.
Well, if it's hanging on a wire, we need to cut it down.
Mhm.
Well, but
You think?
the little sub-sentence that says notwithstanding the foregoing kind of is a big way of saying, but.
Right. It's lawyers.
That, yeah. That it doesn't apply to the first part of that paragraph.
Did you say does or does not?
Does not. As long as the tree doesn't apply to that part of the paragraph, the tree board trail manager shall consult an ISA certified arborist. If it does meet the first part of that paragraph, you just follow the first part of that paragraph. Isn't that what notwithstanding the foregoing means?
Yeah, that's what it means.
Are you saying, Rob, that notwithstanding the foregoing applies to only one part of this section or both parts?
No, it just applies to that paragraph. If trees
Yeah,
don't meet the
that
conditions of the first part of the paragraph, then the rest of that sentence applies.
Yeah, I feel like it just refers to what comes right before it.
Right,
Before you say that.
within that paragraph.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean then if we leave the first paragraph unmodified from the 2010 version, that they can't top any tree in the town, any other tree on public property?
No, because he said their conservation agreement takes precedent over this.
So we can say that with the knowledge that the conservation agreement will allow it if they need to do it?
Or else just say refer to the conservation agreement
Okay.
details. I've not read the conservation agreement, so I really don't know what it says. But I don't see putting a reference in there to refer to it. Do you, Joe?
No, I don't. I'm gonna write it on the side here. And
I don't have a copy of that. Does anyone else?
Mm-mm.
I don't know that I do.
I don't.
Yeah, I feel like that's necessary for all of us to have now.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find somewhere. And that's a land conservation agreement or land conservation trust?
Land Trust for Tennessee, is that the right name?
I'm not really sure, to tell you the truth, how it's worded.
Signal Mountain Land Protection instead of conservation.
We'll just put it in there and then we can look through it. I mean, if he's got to follow that anyway,
Yeah,
I mean, just put it in there and then we'll have it in there and then we can move on from there.
Okay, so in that first paragraph on tree topping, we've already struck through an ISA certified arborist may be retained, blah, 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 blah. That sentence is gone. And we're going to say, refer to Land Trust for Tennessee Conservation Agreement for their policy on tree topping and view shed clearance. Land trust policies take precedent.
Yes.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Land Trust for Tennessee. Okay. I can't find anything on it on Google that looks like there's an agreement between the Land Trust of Tennessee and Signal Mountain. So it
Do you
must
think
be.
it might be on the town website at all?
I'll look and see.
Well, doesn't state law take over precedent of this town? They have to follow the certain state laws?
It may be a part of our agreement with the land trust when they took over the conservation lands, all of our parks.
Yes.
Hmm.
(2013) resolutions. Okay. I think I found something. Found a resolution. It's only 2 pages. I'll keep looking for it.
We'll just put in there and to refer to that. Because I think we're going to be at this again. So we want to clarify 215 as of next. And they had an issue with the town enforcing on private owners. Might move to the property maintenance section of the town is revising and have more effect. So they that 215, they're thinking about moving that to the property maintenance section.
Yes, and I am looking for
Which they
an
haven't
email.
ratified as of
for-
yet.
I'm sorry, may I take a short break? I'll be right back.
Sure.
Need intermissions,
Yeah, there you go.
Can I get a glass of wine during my intermission?
honestly. Like, would it offend anyone?
Once you stay fit for duty, right?
Good. My wife's bringing me snacks. Good. Thank you.
Don't mind me just having dinner.
I didn't realize there was so much hoopla about this conservation easement back in
Yeah.
2011, 2012.
Mm.
Apparently there's 300 and something acres that the town put under conservation easement. But I can't find exactly what it is.
Well, again, let's just refer to that
Yeah,
and go to 215 so we can wrap this up a little bit.
okay, sounds good.
215, again, they were going to clarify the town enforcing on private owners. They're going to probably move it to property maintenance. And the last thing was 222, where we just add shrubs in addition to trees.
I don't even see 220. Oh, there it is. Yep.
I even have it on mine.
Where it says any tree, it's the last sentence.
Yeah, just add shrubs to that.
Any tree or shrub.
I'm sorry, which section are we?
222. The very
The title
last,
of that one.
Oh, that one, yeah.
the very last section. We added it.
Okay. I have the older copies. That's why I've been making notes the whole time.
Grandfathering in 13222
Got
grandfather,
it.
and just add shall not apply to any tree and shrub existing or shrub existing as of June 1.
Mhm. There was some question in 215 about whether, and if so, how much a penalty would be levied if town trees are damaged.
But that's going to be moved to the property maintenance section that the town is now revising to have more effect. We're not going to have control over that. From my understanding of that meeting.
Okay, we may not have control over that, but I suspect we may be asked our opinion. We don't have to answer it right now, but it's out there.
Okay.
Okay.
You should make it hurt.
I'm looking for an email I had from Boyd about this. Rather than your time, I will find it later and communicate with you about it.
Okay.
I thought there was somewhere there was maximum penalties the town could impose anyway. Didn't we have that discussion once before?
Yeah, we've had that in a meeting.
Yeah.
But what did that apply to?
Well,
I think it
was
was destruction of trees.
Okay, it was a $50 limit, I think.
I think so.
Something like that.
$50 per day or something like that.
Mhm.
Oh, there was hang on, hang on. 219 and 220, I believe Alyssa did some conversation.
Not according to my notes, but if you have something. The only thing I had in 220 was where we changed it shall, they want may, which I think was before.
So in 220, we're changing shall to may.
Well, it was may before.
Yeah, that was the original
We changed it.
wording.
Right.
And we're changing it back. Is that what you're saying?
I think that was the concern.
That was Andrew, I think, that did that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
If I remember, I don't remember why, just like lawyer language or whatever.
right. Exactly. Nothing against attorneys, okay.
No, nothing against them, I just think.
No, not at all.
So I had also struck the last phrase and noted remove. So it would be any person acting at the will of the town within the town limits who violates any provision of this chapter shall be responsible for ameliorating the situation at the direction of the town manager after appropriate investigation, which may include a recommendation by the tree board, period. And I would have to go back to the video of the meeting to know why that came in.
The original said, and the Director of Public Works.
That's right.
Okay, so we're leaving it as the original paragraph was.
Well, what I had written during the meeting was to strike and or the Director of Public Works.
I think it was strike or, not the whole last sentence, not the whole last part of it.
So it would be may include a recommendation by the tree board and the Director of Public Works, or
Yeah.
or the Director of Public Works.
That's how it was worded originally.
It was originally and the director.
Right.
And that's what we're reverting to.
If everyone else is in agreement.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way it was before. I didn't have any. I'm kind of surprised that they're willing to involve us in any type of personnel discipline or
Really?
personnel action anyway, so.
My understanding from the conversation with the council and town manager was that this would not be personnel. This would be anyone else.
Yeah, it's not up to us to reprimand the employees. I mean, that's, you bring it to the town manager and he makes a decision from there.
Right.
Right, and
And that-
we may assist with the investigation, but that would be it.
Correct.
Okay.
All right, so we done with the ordinance for now?
I guess so.
Okay, and then the other thing was Margaret Rankin Honor Tree. Evidently she or someone paid for, because I've spoken to her, to buy an honor tree, and that was in January or something, and we dropped the ball. Sherry dropped the ball. Sherry took the blame, but I don't know who exactly. I looked through all my emails And I couldn't find anything where I was notified about it. But she said her husband likes dogwoods and she doesn't really care where it goes. She likes some ideas. So we've got that on our list for the Margaret Rankin Honor Tree, or the Rankin family, Mr. and Mrs. Rankin.
And they want a dogwood?
They would like a dogwood. I told her about the diseases and she said, well, Giles' recommendation, but we like dogwoods.
Okay.
So I left it at that.
So now who is taking the ball on that?
I got the information from Sherry, and then she's already paid for it. So when it comes time to pick one out and where we want to put it, she just wants to know where we would like it. She didn't know anything about the mountain. They moved from Michigan, I believe, or something like that.
Oh, okay.
And Joe, you're saying you think that was in January?
Yeah, I'll have to look back at the email about her. Let me see if I can find it on through Sherry, find something from them.
Yeah, if you could copy me on that, forward that to me, that would be great.
Okay. Will do. Yeah, I'll forward it to you. Because I spoke with Miss Rankin. It's Maureen Rankin, actually. Yeah, I'll get the rest of it and send it to you. Anything else?
Not on that.
Anything else after that?
The next item on the agenda is Arbor Day.
I have spoken with, we had the October 16th. I sent another email to Jeff Paulson. I have not received anything back from him. So we're kind of up in the air on that.
I suspect all of the school administrators are a little bit busy right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. I think so.
And I had also sent an email to Kathy Pitts at Signal Mountain Christian and have not heard back from her.
Okay.
So as I recall, the county system would like for it to not be October 16th,
Well, they're
but
on,
the following week. Was that correct?
yes, they didn't say when they wanted it. They just said that they were on fall break that week.
Oh.
Okay.
And then the next item under Arbor Day is the idea of the Wild Ones program at the Playhouse Amphitheater and the online native plant sale.
Right, and Barbara is not here, so we'll have to bring that up with her because she was kind of leaving that.
Is Barbara one of the wild ones?
She was trying to drive in the Wild Ones situation.
So we're tabling that to the next meeting.
Yes.
The next item is our landmark poplar, a fundraising report, and the sign installation report.
So we've met our goal. So we have the 500. We have a week left on our GoFundMe. So I'm hoping to get a little extra, but we have met our goal. So.
Okay, good.
Excellent.
And our goal was a total of 900, is that right?
We had 400 already.
Right.
And then We have 420 from the GoFundMe and then 80 from myself and people that I know. So 500
So that was
altogether.
that.
So we've got.
And then 900.
We've got it met in the whole layout.
Mhm. But we
Good.
have another week, so I'm hoping I can post again and get some more people to donate. So we just have a little extra.
Okay.
Great. Good work, Michaela. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Good.
And the sign is in, so sign's up.
Thank you to the strong, sturdy folks who did that.
Yeah. You can do a lot with a powered auger, let me tell you.
Also, the next item is our native plant list. We have completed that list. What do we do with it now?
We send it to town council. Part of this ordinance, we have in this ordinance that native trees and plants and shrubs that Dan wanted a copy of that. So I would assume we send it to them.
And then
Okay, on the
afterwards-
ordinances, I'm sorry.
go ahead. Go ahead, Ann.
On the ordinances, I did have a note. We have this list. How and by whom shall it be used?
Strong suggestions.
Is that something that you guys would want me to post on Facebook so people
Yeah.
know about it?
I would think we would want to put it on both the town website and on the website we have set up for the tree board.
Okay.
Yes.
Who does the town website?
I'm not sure.
Um,
Is Sherry do it?
I'll send it to Sherry as I'm sending it to the council.
Okay. I think if Sherry doesn't do it, she would know who does it.
Right. And Michaela, you'll take care of the Facebook page?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Thank you.
I got you.
So the last thing on our agenda, other than other business, was the Planning Commission actually wanted us to review all ordinances that have trees in them.
Well, let's work on this landscape situation, this municipal situation first, see how far we get.
So they want us to do a word search of all the ordinances that have the word tree in them.
We're gonna be here all year.
Yep,
I don't even know if there's a way to do that, is there?
it's a pretty common word.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had.
Well,
one.
I think it would obviously be commercial ordinances and subdivision ordinances.
Well, again, I think we ought to, let's see how far with this first ordinance we get, and then we can start anew on something else.
Actually, if you could get all the ordinances and put them in one file and then just do a word search on that file,
Yeah, that would be
do it.
easy.
Yeah, as a
Mhm.
PDF, that would do it, wouldn't it?
Yep.
So the only other thing I had was just to mention, I don't know if other people are seeing it. We have had a precipitous decline in butterfly populations
Yeah.
just
this
in
year.
and around our yard. I mean,
Mhm.
we used to have hundreds and we see 2 or 3 maybe, and not much variety either. So we don't use any chemicals in our yard. So I'm thinking this must be overall habitat loss, or
Mhm.
is there widespread chemical use that would affect us as well?
I've noticed the same thing this year, and I know for the last several years that the butterfly counts that they do have been going down every year. There's I forget which group does it in Tennessee. There's a group that actually has stations set up where they count the butterflies on certain days and certain weeks each year. And the populations have been declining. I'll see if I can find that and share that with you.
That would be good. Is there any action that we can take or suggest or try to push something?
I don't think people completely, I'll look and see, but I don't think people understand. A lot of people have different hypotheses and things, but
Yeah, it's not
I
really
don't-
clear what the issue
yeah,
is.
there's no definitive actionable
I can look into
cause.
it.
There are just very, very few of them. I've noticed it too.
Yeah.
And not a lot of hummingbirds. We used to have a lot of hummingbirds in our yard, and they're not
Yeah, I
here
have
this
a
year.
lot of those. Maybe they're all
I
in my
love
yard.
them.
Yeah.
Either
I
your
think
house
they moved
or
to my
house
yard.
or the other. I've got
They
a box.
migrated. They left and came to yours.
They're in my yard now. I'm on a hill, so maybe, you know, they needed like an elevation change because of climate. So who knows?
So
Yeah.
you guys are saying that there's not consensus in the scientific community about what's causing it?
There's not. I can look in like the latest editions of journals and things, but there isn't consensus now.
Yeah, because
Y'all
if I
just do
look
some
around
homework.
our yard, we have really a pretty good selection of native nectar plants that would be attracting them. So it's saying to me, maybe we're missing larval hosts
Maybe.
or
I don't
chemical.
know. I don't know.
Might be chemical treatments in yards.
I think it's one of those things that's just a dynamic
Yeah.
condition of multiple causes. Yeah, like there's one article here that in 2019, the monarch butterfly population plummeted 86% in 1 year. And really they don't, then there's talk about declines over 20 years. So lots of things will have
Yeah.
drops in
Agricultural
population declines from 1 year to the next. But then
Yeah.
overall, how do you see that recovery or see that continual decline?
Yeah, so the monarch population is pretty well tracked. And of course, they do their migrating. And I've read 4 generations to make that migration. But our local tiger swallowtails, they don't migrate anywhere, do they?
I don't know about those.
I don't know.
Those are the ones I see most often around here, is the swallowtails.
Plant lots of parsley.
We have tomatoes. They love their tomatoes.
Who doesn't?
Anything else?
Okay, that's all that was on the agenda.
Okay, well, thank you, everyone. It was longer than
Thank you.
anticipated.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All
Thank
right,
you.
Bye, everyone.
bye.
Bye.